All right, everybody, welcome to A Little Perspective. This is the host Nikhil and this is the host Pranav. And today it's a special podcast with Jocelyne Lang. So I'm going to start off the podcast with a quote. Sorry. Real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody's going to know whether you did it or not, by Oprah Winfrey. Jocelyne Lang is the owner of Fieldview Financial services firm that helps making financial strategies for people, their businesses, and their families. She's a big believer in giving back to the community and is a board member at the Globe Theatre. I met Jocelyne a year and a half.
Yep.
When I walked in with my resume to hire me, and she did hire me. Ever since, she's been like a mother to me.
Aww.
How are you doing today, Jocelyne?
You're so very sweet. Good morning. How are you guys?
Good.
Thanks for having me. Sorry it took us so long to organize this.
No, to be honest, I think what people didn't see, the quick little pre-podcast meeting, I think that was perfect. We needed that.
We had a pre-podcast upstairs with your family, Pranav. It was lovely. I love them. I had chai tea and cookies. Everybody should do this podcast just for the chai tea. It was delicious.
We should have chai in our next podcast.
We should have chai at the next podcast. I think make it a thing.
Yeah.
I'll make it. I know, like my mom taught me, so
it's great.
I think I cook. I think I make a really good chai. Awesome.
I love it.
So, how you been, Jocelyne?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm great. It's a beautiful fall day.
Great.
Sun shining.
Right.
It's all good.
So we want to start this podcast by just you telling us, how did you get into the financial services sector?
Sure.
And like, how's the journey been?
Okay. Well, I think like everybody who ends up in this sector as an advisor, I don't think anybody sort of says, I'm going to sell life insurance for a living, right? It just sort of happens by accident. So my husband, Murray, had become an advisor. I was with the Bay department stores, the sadly defunct Bay department stores. I grew up in Winnipeg, and so I had an opportunity in 1997. I'm dating myself, I know. But in 97, I moved to Saskatoon as the assistant store manager, and I was there for about 18 months. And then in the fall of 98, I had an opportunity to move to Regina as the store manager. I was 24 at the time, so you can do the math if you want to figure out how old I am. And
pretty young for a store manager, no?
I was. At the time, I was the youngest in Canada.
No way. So that's a proven fact.
It is.
That's
yes.
crazy. Wow.
I wasn't the youngest ever, but at the time I was the youngest.
Yeah, of course.
And I was probably too young to know to be afraid. You know, when you just have that confidence of youth and you just were like, I can do anything, so I'm going to go do this. And it was great. It was a great career. It was a great place to work. I think I had a good impact. But retail is grinding, right? Like food service is really hard work. And so I decided I was going to move on to the next phase. And Murray said to me, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I will tell you tomorrow, because I had a straw that broke the camel's back kind of moment. And I was like, that's it. I'm out. I said, I'll tell you tomorrow. And I thought, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be when I grow up? I was like 28 maybe at the time, 29. And so, no, I was 30. I looked at his lifestyle because I felt very time poor. I worked a lot and I just didn't feel like I had a lot of balance in my life. And I looked at what I thought his life was. And I thought, well, you just visit with people for a living and you have all this flexibility and you're golfing all the time. I'm like, I want what you have. He didn't work weekends, which I did, of course, in retail you do. So I decided I was going to be an advisor too. And then I announced that to him and he was thrilled. You can imagine.
Right.
Not. So the first year we ran our businesses very separately, not in competition so much, but just very separately. And then it wasn't great.
Why the separation?
I think that I wanted to prove that I could do it by myself, that I wasn't going to be successful because I got maybe some hand up or handouts from him. I think he helped me with a couple cases, but I really tried to
do it by yourself.
Yeah, just find that independence in it. And I found that I really, really actually liked the work. When we first got married, I remember being very happy to say to Murray, here, you handle all the finance stuff. Like, not the budget, I'm not talking about that, but just, insurance and investing. I was like, I just don't have the time or the capacity to just do research to make good decisions about this. So here, you do it. And what I learned very quickly, and why I decided that becoming an advisor was a really viable option for me, was I thought, if that's how I'm feeling, there's probably a lot of other women and people just generally who feel the same way too. It's overwhelming. You'd have to do so much research. When you try to do that research, you go down a rabbit hole and then end up with analysis paralysis, right? And don't make any decisions. So I thought, well, why can't I be the person that they push that work to? Why can't I be the person that holds their hand and helps make this easy to understand and simpler and easily conceptual and help them make better decisions? Because if I felt that way, I felt like other people did too. And it turns out I was very right. Almost everybody feels that way.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, long story short, a couple years later, we decided to merge our businesses. We'd started our family by then. And so we incorporated in 2009. And literally the rest, as they say, is history. But we've had some great opportunities. We've had a little bit of luck along the way, but mostly just a lot of hard work.
For me, you embody this person who's like really, really hardworking, right? And I remember you mentioning that you started working when you were like 12?
It was 13. Yeah, it's probably not legal, so.
Yeah, which is like
but
super
I
crazy,
did.
right?
But I did, yeah.
And you still work really, really hard. Like everybody's gone home and you're still working. You're working on weekends. And I remember the last time we had a conversation, you were like, what separates good from great is the amount of work you're willing to put in.
Yeah. Well, and the difference between good to great, and this is a book, I'm quoting this, but I mean, the difference between good and great is 10%, right? But it's the people who do that little bit of extra, who, figure out what the hill is that you're going to die on for your business, and then literally never give up that integral part of whatever your core business practice is. So for me, that's client service. So I feel like I'm the client's advocate in our work. And so if something goes sideways with head office or banking or something like that, like that is the hill we will always die on. And Nikhil knows this about me because that is the language that we speak.
Right.
And so if during the week I have to spend my time advocating for the client, and therefore sometimes, not always, but yeah, sometimes if I have to do some extra stuff at the weekend or in the night to get caught up on my notes or whatever, that's what I'll do, because I know my time is better spent, and the reward of dying on that hill comes to you tenfold. So 95% of our clients come from referrals. And it's because our clients are so confident that whatever we've promised will get done.
Right.
That when you die on that hill, then people just can't wait to talk about you and how great they are. When it's something as boring as insurance and investments, which I love, but that's okay. You don't have to love it.
But this value of working hard, like that work ethic, how did you develop that? Is that something you saw your family do? Is that something you learned from somebody?
Yeah, I think there's a couple parts of that. I think I really, really like work. Like we all get that little adrenaline rush from different things, right? And I get it from work. I get it from the outcomes that I have at work. So I think that's part of it. I think that there's nothing wrong with being income motivated. So I also have that. But I think there's also, for me, money's a security issue. I grew up very simply. There was always just enough, but there was always just enough. And so for me, my approach is I like to know that there's just a little bit more than enough so that I just feel more secure. So I think it's actually more security issue, to be really honest, that drives me. But I also just really like work. I love our clients. We are so lucky. We have amazing people that we work with. And the trust that people put in us and the opportunities that have been created, the relationships that we've built with people, friends become clients, clients become friends. Like truly, we just get to talk to incredible people and journey with them at sometimes the most basic points of their lives, but also the most exciting points of their lives when they're getting married or having babies or graduating or retiring or buying houses or all of that fun stuff. But they also need us the most in the hardest times of their lives. And that's a privilege to be part of that journey. And so, we don't take that lightly.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jocelyne, and you mentioned there's, all these beauty aspects of the field that you're in and the value that you provide.
Yeah.
Now, what's the dark side Like, because I think it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
a great question.
There's hard work that comes in. You build the relationships. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
The graduations, the babies.
Yeah. But it's not all roses every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So like, what's the dark side of the field that you're in?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink, right? So you can share your knowledge and your education with people, but they're still going to guide their own process. So not everybody's going to make a decision that might be the best thing for their family. And the only reason we know that is because we live the everyday of seeing all those good outcomes, but then seeing those days of the tough outcomes, right? So I think that's part of it. Anytime you work for a corporation, there's always going to be challenges with bureaucracy and trusting other people to look after your clients for whatever part of that aspect needs doing. So that's always, I think, a challenge. I think walking through those dark moments with people is really hard.
Because
it's a privilege. It's a privilege, but there's an emotional burden there.
Right.
And, it's not uncommon for us to, we're often the third phone call when there's a death, right? They'll call their immediate family, a friend maybe, and then they usually call us when we're, very close relationship with that family. So there's that. We spend a lot of time talking about really sad things and a lot of emotional things, right? So there's that. What's some of the other dark sides? I don't know. I think my biggest challenge right now is just time, right? Time as a resource. We can't replenish it. We can't create it. I know we could do so much more for so many more people. It's just not enough time. Literally, there's just not enough time in the day.
How do you make time for, because, like you mentioned that, of course, hard work comes first, and that's how you differentiate good from great. But you mentioned that, now you have 2 boys.
Yes.
Your wife.
Yes.
And you have a dog.
Ugh, the dog. Norman the dog. He's so cute.
And then there's also like your professional aspect. Is there a fine line that you're walking where you have to make,
This is my theory about life. You can have it all, but never all at once. So I do feel that things are a bit cyclical, and that at different times in your life, you can maybe be more focused on the kids. And then maybe in this point, they need you a little bit less, and maybe you can focus more on work or whatever. But I do find that it is the greatest challenge probably is the whole thinking you can have it all at the same time, because you can't. Something's always going to suffer. There's always a sacrifice to be made. There's always a choice to be made. And it's hard to make those choices sometimes, right? I think there's a lot of people in my sort of age demographic right now who we're still raising our children. We're still trying to run our businesses or our careers, but now we're starting to also face the challenges of aging parents. And what does that look like? How do you support that? How do you shift focus? Where do you find that extra time? So to be honest, I would say, super honestly, what goes by the wayside is my health. I don't eat as well as I should. I don't cook as well as I should for my families. So as a mom, you have a lot of mom guilt on different things. That's my mom guilt is that one.
Does that time aspect scare you, that it's slowly slipping away?
Yes, it is. It's funny that you say that. Like, I'm going to be 52 in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, what have I done with my life? Like, geez, who do I want to be when I grow up? Like, I still feel like I'm 20 sometimes and thinking I have forever. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God. I'm running out of time to do all the things I want to do. I feel like I'm running out of time to read all the books I want to read, to see all the plays I want to see. But yeah.
And how do you ground yourself? Because the thing is, like, that's a very, how do you, like, you also say that too, right? Like, you can easily get sucked in that loop that it starts bleeding into other aspects of your life too, like that negativity and that anxiety, that paranoia. You have to ground yourself somehow, though. Yeah.
That's a great question too. I don't know if I've ever thought about it from that perspective. I love to read, so I think that as extroverted as I may seem or appear to be to people,
I think you are. I saw that upstairs. What are you talking about?
Well, I have some theories about that, but I actually really do like alone time, which not all extroverts might say that. So maybe I'm a hybrid. I'm in the middle. I don't know. But I don't mind my own company. And I really don't mind alone time too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, whether I'm watching one of my favorite shows on BritBox or Netflix, or if I'm reading, or, I love Pinterest. Guys, I love Pinterest so much. So probably just literally quiet time, like alone time. I don't know. I'm a big, also, at the end of the day, I got to write stuff down. I'm not a journaler. I'm not big on self-reflection. I probably should be, but I'm not. But just even writing down like, okay, here's all the things I need to do tomorrow. So you just kind of get it out of your head. And I take melatonin so that I can sleep.
Wow.
Sleep's important.
Right now, 100%.
Sleep, I think sleep as a commodity is so undervalued. I think that there's not enough conversation about the importance of sleep to recharge literally your physical body and your brain and refuel. And I think this whole thing about busyness is the benchmark now. That's how busy defines how successful you are. Like, I will say that, yes, my life is very, very full. I try not to use the word busy as much, but because it's full of opportunities and blessings too. And I think busyness, well, what are you busy at? My retired parents tell me they're busy. I'm like, you have no idea. But that's just very cheeky of me, right? But I'm like, you have no idea what that looks like. But it's like, what is the quality that you're filling your day with, right? Also, like, what are you busy at?
Right.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about, you mentioned in a previous conversation, death and grief.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So you're the third call for a client, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody who's in that situation, like it's hard to talk to them. Like, what do you say?
Yeah.
Right? How do you consult a client?
Yeah.
Like, what do you talk to them?
Well, I think everybody's needs are a little bit different in that journey. And I'm not a grief therapist, that's for sure, but I've journeyed with a lot of people. So I think it's sometimes just asking them, what do you need in this moment? And I think that's a great question to ask ourselves too. And, now that I'm thinking about this a little bit more, but back to your question about grounding, is giving yourself permission to say, what is it that I need right now in this moment? Not what should I be doing or what could I be doing, but what is it that I actually need right now? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to read a book? Do I need to watch a TV show? Do I need to play with the dog? Do I need to play with my kids, right? When you have the option to make a choice for yourself in that moment. As a mom, you don't always have the option. There's other demands that you just have to be places and do things, right? But asking yourself, what is it that you need? So I think I try to use that lens when I'm journeying with people, just to be like, well, what do you need in this moment? And give them permission to give themselves permission that whatever they need is the right thing. Sometimes it's silence. They just need to sit there and cry and be angry. And, a lot of it is they need reassurance that it's going to be okay. And that, their loved one is gone, but love them so much that there's resources in place. Because in a crisis, usually the first panic people have is resources, money. How am I paying the mortgage for these kids? How am I keeping my kids in their activities? How we have debt, whatever, right? So reassuring them that the decisions that they made a long time ago are going to support them through this really difficult time. And I think they just need to know you're there, right? They can call you anytime they need to or whatever, right? I don't know. I'll think more on that. I'll see if there's something. I don't know what else I say. I just do it. I don't know.
I feel like it's just second nature to you, given how close you have become with your clients, that it's not something you think about. You just, like you just mentioned, you just do it at the moment.
I just do it. Yeah, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like I just do it. I don't know.
No.
So now coming back to you, like,
okay.
Did you ever deal with grief? Like, how did that journey look like when you were like rock bottom? I don't think I can do it anymore. What was your reaction?
That is a very interesting question. I've been really blessed. I haven't lost a lot of family members. Yep, absolutely. Knock on wood. But that doesn't mean that you haven't lived through grief, right? Grief comes in all different ways, and that can be the end of all kinds of things that you have to grieve, right? So I think it's acknowledging it. And I heard a really interesting thing on Oprah once. It's funny that you opened with an Oprah quote, because that's what I used to watch when I was on the treadmill. I swear it's Oprah's fault that I'm not as fit as I used to be, because her show was the perfect amount of time to be on a treadmill. And so after she stopped her show, I was like, there was nothing else. But it was actually Lance Armstrong's ex-wife, Keely, I can't remember her last name, and her marriage to Lance Armstrong had ended, and she was a writer, and she was talking about one of the most important things about whatever grief you're in, whatever you're grieving. It could be the end of a relationship, it could be a death, could be a job, right? That's a huge thing for people, is a job change. But part of it is that it's not so much even acceptance, but it's reconciling yourself to the fact that things are different now. And just having to be okay with that, right? So I've got a girlfriend whose daughter also started grade 9 this year. And, high school can be really daunting and very challenging. And I said to her last night, you can decide that your new normal is okay. Or you can decide to step out of your comfort zone and be the first person to say hi and make friends or whatever. But you've got to reconcile yourself to things are different now. Pining for what it was in elementary school or what you wish it was, you've just got to reconcile. This is where you are right now. Either take a step forward or live in it. Doesn't matter which one you make. The decision will be okay. But you have to reconcile that this is it now. This is where you are. Right? So I would say that's served me well. I never forgot that. And yeah, that's a big part of the grief journey, is just understanding that that's where you are now. As much as you want it to be different, it can't be.
Are those the conversations you have with your boys?
Yeah, I think sometimes. I think, as a parent, it's sometimes you don't have those deep conversations. You're like, it's a lot of logistics as a parent, managing.
How old are they? For people
17 and 14.
Yeah, I think
so
that's
grade 12 and grade 9.
About time to have those conversations. He's 18 now.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Sometimes I say to my mom, "Oh, this is what I said to Avery about whatever," and she's like, "God, you talk to them like they're adults." I'm like, well, I guess they're tiny humans to me, but I don't know. Like, I don't know that parents actually sit down and have as many philosophical conversations with their children as maybe they wish later that they had. I think it's easier to do that with like your friends' kids and other people's children. Right. I don't know.
Right.
Do you think that's because kids take you for granted?
I don't think they do it on purpose.
Right.
I think you create a great home atmosphere, and that's a blessing for them to be able to take that for granted, that they're so safe and secure in the home that you've created for them. Right. That they don't mean to, but that's all they know. Right. They don't know what they don't know, right? And that's then you've done your job as a parent.
Right. Because I remember when I was a kid, like my mom and dad used to tell me so many things, and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, what would you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not.
What would you know?
Yeah. Well, we had this conversation with your mom upstairs, right?
Right. But now, in hindsight, you realize that, oh shit,
my parents were quite wise. Yeah. They actually lived a life before me. Yeah. I will say to the kids every now and again, just a reminder, I'm actually a human being first. Before I'm your mom, I'm a person. Right. I have my own identity that's not always tied to you, but that's okay. They'll figure it out.
So, you mentioned at the start of this episode that the initial drive to get into this industry was, proving yourself. And from that up until this point, there's been, we talked about grief right now. We talked about the good things, about the bad things, the iffy things. What's been the greatest lesson in all these years? Like a good reflection point?
I think that, our business is really about relationships and seeing people. It's not actually about what we know about investments or insurance.
Really?
That's the byproduct of the conversation.
Is that what people hide, or they openly say that
so
stuff?
that is a great question. No, they do not openly tell you. If you can work and build a relationship and they feel trusted and they feel seen and they feel heard, that's when you get the good stuff. So I'll call that mining diamonds, right? Looking for soft data, because I can build a plan for them, But if they don't feel that it's important or that I've heard what they've said, they're not going to move forward. It's only if I can relate it back to, here's what you told me. So I think in our industry, the problem with our industry is that advisors just talk too much. And I love to talk. Nikhil knows this about me. I do. But it's really, the job is listening. Like really finding out what's important to people. Because only when you build a plan that speaks to that, is it the right plan.
So you think, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you think people flip it? They start the execution first before the listening?
I think absolutely. I think it's, the conversation is not about product. Product is just the outcome of the problem. Our job is to, what is the actual problem? What is so important to you that you're not sleeping at night? What is keeping you up at night?
Right.
What is the power of a conversation? And I think there's a big part in there as well. Just how people were raised around money really impacts the decisions that they make on how they manage it or are managed by it. So I mentioned that, for me, money is a big security issue. Murray too, but from a different perspective. Losing his dad at a young age, his money security feels very different than mine, probably. Right. So helping people journey and uncover. So bottom line, money's about psychology. It's not actually about money. Right. And if you can get people to a place where they can share openly, and also free them from the I could, I would, I should have. Right. Because everybody feels like they've made bad decisions or they have shame about decisions that they haven't made. Money's a huge shame trigger for people.
Right.
And so if you can free them of that and say, okay, I hear you. That's how you felt in the past. How would you like to feel moving forward? Well, I want to feel this, this, and this. Okay, great. So let's let that go. Let's draw a line in the sand. Let's make a fresh start. Give permission people to put the baggage down and move forward and just help them make good decisions going forward. That's the work. It's not actually about the products.
So there's probably a misconception going around that you have to okay, of course, you have to be knowledgeable and everything. I'm not saying be dumb about it. Yeah. That just invest them in anything.
Absolutely.
But I guess the misconception is that, I got to be push this product because it's selling the most.
Right. Absolutely. Right. It has nothing to do with that. It's listening to people, figuring out who they really are, helping them figure out where are they at, where do they want to be, and then building them a bridge to get them there. But you can't get them to cross that bridge until they know you're crossing it with them. Right. That's a big part of it.
Right. No, I was just going to ask because you touch base on that. Nikhil and I talk about how our days and everything.
For sure.
He tells me how the job has been. I wanted to ask, what's your success rate in that case? Because if you say that this is the most important thing and that's how you and Murray operate, then I believe that every single client that you talk to, you're retaining them, I'm assuming, right?
For sure. Yeah, Sun Life probably tracks that off the top of my head. I don't know that number, but it's really good.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah. I can vouch for that.
I mean, people move, absolutely. And we lose clients because they pass. You always have to be in a building sort of phase of your business, right? You've always got to be replacing that. But your cousin and I upstairs were talking about one of the other things that we have not done in the business, where I know a lot of advisors have, is put in place account minimums, or I'm not going to talk to clients until they have this much investable assets or whatever, right? And the challenge with that in the industry right now is our workforce is shrinking because of the compliance regimes, which are not bad things for clients by any means, but it's one more layer of work to be done that is different than it used to be. So it's that much more time to process the same amount of business. But the advisor pool is shrinking because some advisors are just saying, I can't do this anymore. So people who really need the advice are the ones who aren't getting it now. Because if an advisor firm says, I'm only going to talk to you if you have 100,000 or 1 million or whatever, how do you get there? That's the first bridge you have to cross, is starting, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we've just decided, because when we were brand new advisors, people took risk and took chance working with us and let us learn and hone our craft, right? So it's sort of a bit, maybe a pay it forward, but we have not placed account minimums because everybody needs advice, and you just never know where that journey is going to take that client.
I love that.
You never know who's going to win the lottery next.
Right. So, in the past, since 2005 is when you started, right?
Four. Yeah. Four. Yeah.
2004, right? 2004 till 2025.
Yeah.
And you said you love like the sale, right? That feeling,
Yeah,
that
I
dopamine
do.
hit
Yeah,
is
I
what
do.
you love, right?
I do.
What has been your greatest, man, that felt good moment in the past 20 years?
Oh my goodness, that's a very big pool to draw from, but there's so many. I'm really big on mentorship too. I feel that I've had opportunities where I was mentored, and the impact that that's had on my career and just my growth as a person and my development. And so I do feel really strongly about mentorship in our industry. I would say half of what I know I've learned from other advisors, not just from a leadership team
Right.
at a firm, right? Which I think is very impactful. So I've tried to pay that forward. So I would probably say that actually some of it, client feedback is lovely when they're like, oh, you're so helpful, or I'm just so appreciative. That's lovely. But I really love to work with other new advisors, wherever they're at in their career, but just to get that feedback from them of you really impacted me, or you taught me this and I was able to implement it, or I'm so excited that I learned this from you, or I love that.
Right. So you've created this environment at your workplace where like people are happy to work, right? We were talking about Teresa. She's like, oh man, I'm going to come and work, right?
Her happy place.
It's a
Teresa.
happy place, right? It's a happy place for not just our team, but everybody on the floor, right?
Well, thank you. That's nice.
So
We try really hard.
So how do you create that environment? Like, what builds it?
Well, I think a couple of things. I always think about how much time we all spend at work. It's significant, right?
Right.
So everybody wants to work in a place where they feel welcome, safe, involved, part of the decision-making process, where they feel empowered, where they feel connected to the work. So I think, well, where do I want to work? And then that's the culture I've tried to create. So to have a positive environment when, we're working on sometimes what might feel like paperwork a lot to the team. And, we had an admin meeting last week and we were talking about, it's not about the piece of paper. There's a family behind that. There's a person behind that work. They need you. They need you to do your best job today. It's not me needing you to do your best job, Nikhil. That family needs you, because if we don't do the work properly, what is the risk to them, right? So I think there's that part of it. I think I would also say too that I think I've learned over the years, I've had the opportunity to work for some amazing leaders and some not so amazing leaders. And I think you learn as much from both, because then I think you work for a not so great leader and you think, when I do this, here's what I'm going to do differently. Right. But always the lens of, well, I work here too. So what kind of culture do I want to work in? So it's also about that.
I feel like it all comes down to the fact that what David Belafonte talks about, that it's the golden rule. Like treat others how you wish to be treated.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. So I feel like that, if you follow that thing, you just foster an environment where,
Absolutely. And I think you create a culture by what you do and don't accept. Right. And so if you accept less than, that becomes your culture. But if you ask everybody to rise to more than, that becomes your culture. And so which do you want? And it's hard because sometimes you have to have hard conversations if not everybody's in the more than. If you've got people who are in less than and they're choosing different priorities, either it's not the right fit for them.
Right.
And that's okay. Freeing people to find their next right role, if they're in the wrong spot, your job as a leader is to let them go so they can find that right spot. And I know that is a very hard conversation for a lot of people to have, but it's actually a gift that you're giving that person, because if they're in the wrong role, you're miserable and they are actually miserable. Maybe they just haven't admitted it yet.
And if you're comfortable talking about this, have you ever had to fire someone?
Absolutely.
And as a leader, how does that look? Because, like you mentioned, it's a tough conversation.
For sure.
What are the factors that lead to that talk, first of all?
Yep.
How do you execute it?
Yeah.
And if you can give us an example, this is how it went.
Sure. Well, I'll just tell you a little story that my mom always used to say before I was married. You'd break up with a guy and she'd say, I know you're upset. I know you're sad, you're disappointed, whatever. But every wrong guy that you stop dating puts you one step closer to the right guy that you should be with. So I think that's great for relationships. You guys are both single, so take that as you will. That's Mom Lucy's advice, okay? But I think it's the same way with jobs. So again, if you are in the wrong role and maybe you haven't figured it out, or you have and you just don't know what to do with it, or you have somebody on your team who's in the wrong role, you're holding them back from finding the right role. So you've got to do the right thing and have that hard conversation and set them free. I think how that goes is the lens is from a compassionate perspective, but a quick one. I think coaching is imperative. You can't just go from 0 to you've been here forever and now bye, you're gone, right? So you have to be willing to have a whole bunch of little conversations first before you have that big one. And one of the things I value the most when I'm looking to build out our team and we're interviewing and we're getting to know people is, are they coachable? Because if you have somebody who's coachable, then chances are they'll take your feedback. But if you end up with somebody who just isn't coachable, or you have provided all of the coaching and the behaviors don't change, or whatever it is that you need to get to your outcome, then they're in the wrong role. And then you have the conversation and you just, from a compassionate place, you just say, it's not the right spot. You're in the wrong job. And that's not about them and it's not about you. It's just a fit. And it is like a relationship. Wrong relationship, wrong job. It's the same conversation. And then you do it quick and dirty. Just be like, we've made a difficult decision. We're going a different way.
Like ripping a Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
So if you had to say a trait that this is what I absolutely do not allow in this culture, because the last thing you want is your office to become a revolving door.
Right.
People are coming and going.
Right.
Because that looks bad on you as a leader, looks bad on the company.
Yeah.
What's a trait that you would never let infiltrate your office culture so you can maintain what Nikhil and you were talking about? Is the happy place.
Well, and I mean, don't get me wrong. We still have, I wouldn't call it conflict, but we have conversation about different things some days, right?
But that's bound to happen.
That's bound to happen. That's any relationship. Exactly. It's all, it's like a living thing, your culture, right? Exactly. So there's an ebb and flow and there's a give and take, right? So I was at a leadership thing once for the Bay, and they had the speaker and they talked about the basket of strawberries. And all it takes is one moldy strawberry to then ruin the whole basket.
Is that actually a thing?
Yes, it is a thing. So if you soak them in some water with some vinegar for a little while and then put them back, then it'll be okay. Don't rinse them. So that's how you preserve your strawberries. Follow me for more housekeeping tips. Pinterest. But I think you have to be very protective of your culture. And so if you see behavior that is a moldy strawberry, you've got to deal with that quickly and not let it fester, because it goes pretty quickly. Mold carries pretty quickly. Right. So, the behaviors that I would never want to see is, as much as there may be conflict between different personality styles and work styles, which is absolutely a huge part of the workforce, but speaking disrespectfully or talking poorly about your colleagues, or speaking poorly about your boss in the business community. It's a very small city. And
wait, that actually happens?
Sure, yes. Hopefully not to us, but yes,
no, I'm just
right?
Surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. People are that dumb to do it.
Well, I think that if they're in the wrong job, then they're frustrated. And we all have different tipping points at which we, make decisions, right? So I would say we've been pretty fortunate with the team that we've I love how you guys knock on wood, literally. Okay, I'll do it too. We've been really, really lucky, and we've been able to find some really wonderful people that have helped us grow and have grown with us, right? Because we need to grow too as leaders. And so, like in a relationship, there's ongoing growth on both sides, right? And so, sometimes being a leader is saying, sorry guys, I screwed that one up, oops, okay, my bad. I really apologize. That was not what I meant to do or what I meant to say. And being able to own your own behavior too, right? So I think if you just set that example and create a safe space where really there's not a lot that can't be fixed too.
Right. Interesting. So, you talk about leadership a lot, and you've done some leadership training. You were the youngest manager at Hudson Bay, right? And there must have been a reason that they picked you over anybody, right? And now, fast forward, you're a business owner. You have 2 kids, which is probably the most important leadership role. What makes a good leader? Like, what are the few qualities that you need to have to be a good leader?
So I guess I approach leadership from the lens of servant leadership. I think that's how I was raised by my parents. They were always really involved in their community and their church, and volunteerism was a really big thing in my household. And I lost a friend to cancer when I was 13. And so I remember the next couple of summers, we all went and volunteered at the Cancer Society in Winnipeg. Like, just that was all modeled for me very early. So I think that's just kind of how I was raised. I think when I moved here, what I saw was this vibrant community of volunteerism. Like, Regina is an incredible city, and I just find it so welcoming, and it's just been such a great place to live, and I have a very different life, I think, here than if I had stayed in Winnipeg. Just the size of the city makes it just so much more. Everybody's so approachable and friendly, I find. But we have this amazing volunteerism culture here. So, like, really approaching it from a servant leadership of, okay, wait, before I ask my community for anything, I better give something to my community too. So I think that's how I approach business. Before I ask my clients for, like, let me provide value to you first. So I think that's how I approach it. So that's, I just think that anything you give comes back to you tenfold. So if you spend your time worrying about others versus yourself, you're going to have better outcomes.
There's this guy we both follow. His name's Simon Sinek.
Oh, I love Simon Sinek.
And he's got a book called Leaders Eat Last. So, like, the whole theory of that is in the caveman time, the community would choose a leader. You would go out hunting. You would get the meat for everybody.
Yes.
And you would make sure that everybody ate before you had your meal, right? So it's all about serving people. It's about not your interest, but other people's interest.
Yes. And I think when you show up that way, and that's your true authentic self, like, you really do care, because it can't be false. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to go volunteer for this thing because it'll look good on a resume. Like, it can't be about that. And
people catch that.
Yeah, people catch it. And do things that you're really passionate about. And then it doesn't feel like work, right? I mean, I love live theater. So being on the board at Globe doesn't feel like work. It's a privilege to be there. If I can share some expertise and be passionate about the theater and be an ambassador for the theater, great. That's fun. It doesn't feel like work, right? So if you just do things that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work at all.
Yeah, that's what I think as well, that there's no such thing as burnout. Like, of course there is, if you're doing something that you don't enjoy.
Right.
Because it's bound to happen. Like, you can only put up that facade for so long. Or you can only convince yourself, or keep lying to yourself, I should say, that no, I think I can thug it out. I think I can manage here.
Did you say thug it out?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just how, like, I sometimes feel as well too, right? Like, if I'm doing something that I know for a fact I don't see myself doing in the future, it will catch up to me. And that's what I feel like I call burnout. But what you mentioned, like the theater part, or like you help people, you love talking to them, you love solving their problems.
Yes.
That's what you'll always have the smile on your face. I feel like if there was a burnout, you'd be like, you'd have like a very mean look on your face, like, oh man, I gotta go to the office again.
I mean, we all have those days where we're like, oh, what fresh new hell awaits me today at work, right? We all have those moments. I mean,
the emails.
Yeah, emails, right? And I think that's just managing the uncontrollables. Right. If you could only deal with the controllables, life would be perfect. Right. But there's always going to be uncontrollables, and things go sideways that, wasn't your intention, or click the wrong button or whatever, right? But finding grace in those moments, that's adulting. Right. That's hard.
That reminds me, like, I was scrolling through this Instagram reel, and I forgot who it is. Two guys, one was interviewing this person, and he mentioned that the guy in front of him said this in one of his previous interviews, that what punishments of God aren't gifts. Because he has a really cool approach towards those things, which really stuck with me. That with life, there's going to be suffering, right? There's going to be stuff that's going to be out of your control.
Right.
But you can't just pick and choose what you're grateful for. You got to be grateful for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. Grateful for all of it.
Right.
There's lessons in all of it. Absolutely.
Right.
You know,
the hardest moments bring probably the greatest lessons and learnings, right?
They shape you as a human being.
They shape you as a human being.
If you didn't go through that.
It creates compassion.
That, and you would be stuck in your ways.
For sure.
I feel like you would never evolve. I feel like, there's, how do I say it? Like, initially it sucks, but
absolutely.
Down the line, I feel like time heals everything.
Yes.
Even if you don't want to think it, even if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, just gotta have that glimmer of hope somewhere that time will heal everything, because it does.
It does. Yeah, it certainly lessens it, and I think creates wisdom that then you can share, right? So
that's where the mentorship.
I've learned this because of that, so let me help you with this, right?
Right.
Yeah, and not holding that inside, like sharing it, like literally sharing it. And so I think Nikhil said at the beginning of this, is there any questions you don't want to talk about? I'm like, I'm pretty much an open book, right. Which I will say I didn't used to be. Like in my 20s, when I was first with the Bay and, climbing in my career there, I would say that I needed to present a facade of having my shit together and being like uber everything.
Not being vulnerable.
What's that?
Not being vulnerable.
Not being vulnerable. So to be fully vulnerable, I would tell you that being vulnerable has been one of my greatest challenges, to ask for help, to be like, but then once you embrace that and you're like vulnerable with people, then they're vulnerable with you too.
So what changed though? Because you mentioned like you weren't that way, now you are. There has to be a turning point.
I don't think it's any one moment I could pinpoint. I think it was probably a whole bunch of hitting walls where not being vulnerable didn't serve me well, or being unapproachable didn't serve me well, or pretending I was something that I wasn't was exhausting, right? And so I still like to look like I've got it all together, but I think that now I'm okay with the whole, I think maybe part of it is becoming a mom, because then you can't, you just can't be perfect in that, right?
Right.
You can't. So maybe it was that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm more than happy to ask Nikhil for help almost every day about something, because I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Let's just talk about stay in your lane, be good at your wheelhouse, and make it okay that other people help you with whatever you're not good at. That's what success looks like, I've learned, I think. Yeah.
That's cool.
So you mentioned that being vulnerable in front of your kids, like, do you show up as you know everything, or do you like, hey, I don't know this? My
favorite answer is, that's a great question. Let's see what Google says. I'm just kidding. But no, I think I'm pretty honest with my kids, like, that's interesting, I don't know that. And my favorite thing is to ask a question back. Well, I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, that's like a favorite line.
Or my favorite line, and this serves me in everything, if I don't know, as opposed to looking and pretending that I do, is I'll say, that's interesting, tell me more. That's my absolute favorite line, because back to one of your earlier comments about, do people just put it all out there and tell you everything? No, they don't. So you've got to peel the onion, right? So that's interesting, tell me more. Why would you say that? Why would you answer that question like that? I'm curious. What else can you tell me about that?
So curiosity brings all the answers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I don't have them. You learn that when you become a parent. You have none of the answers. You learn your crap at everything. So, and you have to be okay with that.
You talk about gratitude a lot, and that's something that I've learned from you. And I see you. Nice. I see you never complain.
Oh,
right? And when you do,
Murray would argue with that. But the kids would argue with that. Damn dog.
Like, I remember there was one time you were complaining about something, and then you suddenly clicked and sure, this is a big issue, but you know, like I grew up watching a lot of war movies, and they had it worse than what I have. So like,
it's incredible what people have lived through.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like,
incredible.
how did you inculcate that gratitude in you?
Well, who am I to have it better than anybody else, first of all? But then how lucky are we to live where we live and have the opportunities where we live? So I think I try to keep that lens. And then I'm a quick venter. So I am pretty verbal. Like, I do like to talk a lot, and I know I talk fast too, but so I'll be like, okay, blah, 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 whatever's making me mad. And then I'm like, okay, moving on. And also I don't have the time luxury to wallow. I do not. I've always felt that in my life, that I do not have the time luxury to wallow, because there's more important work that needs to get done. And usually I have to get somewhere else, or somebody needs me for something elsewhere. So you just gotta kind of carry on.
Wallow means complain.
Yeah.
Or sit there.
Sit in your, and not that it's not okay to sit in your whatever. Everybody is entitled to feel how they feel. And there's grace in that, allowing yourself to feel the feelings.
Just don't get stuck.
Right. Just don't get stuck. Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that we need to allow kids to feel their feelings, as opposed to be like, it's okay. Tell me how you're feeling. Put some words around that. Draw me a picture. What color is this to you? Like, we need to help kids verbalize a little bit more how they're feeling, so that they can be better communicators as adults. But I think it's not about pushing your feelings down or hiding them or not dealing with them, but it's just sort of like, okay, I'm just going to park that for right now. I've got to deal with these other things. Maybe I need to calm down a little bit, and then maybe I can unpack this a little bit later when I'm not feeling so reactive. So one of my big things is, am I reacting or am I responding? And that's a big coaching thing at work too, because sometimes that's where you end up with conflict, is if people are reacting to things versus take a beat, take a breath, and we all struggle with this, and then compose yourself and, okay, how do I want to respond in this moment? So that's a big thing for me. Am I reacting or am I responding? And we all do that reaction, right?
And I feel like that emotional part is so important.
Yeah.
And especially like as guys, we are told
Yes.
that, hey, like suppress your emotions, right?
For
Instead
sure.
of acknowledging that, hey, you're feeling angry. It's
Yeah.
okay to feel angry, but it's up to you how you want to react, right? And when you're not taught that emotional aspect,
Yeah.
it comes out in bad ways,
Yeah.
right? You become angry, you start hitting things.
I feel like as a mum of boys, I'm very cognizant that I'm raising somebody's future spouses. And funny story, when Avery was 8, I said to him, hey, listen, you can't leave globs of toothpaste in the sink, and you can't leave your socks in front of the laundry basket. You need to put them down the laundry chute. Like, you can't do these things, because one day you're going to be in a relationship, and I don't want your future partner to hate me. I think I probably used the word wife. And he looked at me and goes, well, she'll probably hate you anyways. But whatever. And, you know, it's a very funny story, but I'm very cognizant that I'm raising somebody's future partner. So I try to approach it with that. And there are a lot of studies shown that we parent girls and boys very differently. When a girl cries, we say, what's wrong? Are you okay? What's happened? And when a boy cries, we say, stop crying. What's the matter with you? And we don't entitle them to their feelings, and we don't give them the voice that they need to say, I'm feeling really angry, I'm feeling really hurt, I'm disappointed, whatever. So I try to say to the kids, tell me how you're feeling about this, you know. And now they're older and they're like, Mom, stop. I don't want to tell you how I'm feeling.
I'm gonna ask you something.
Sure.
Might be controversial, I don't know. Now I'm just curious about this stuff, right? But men and women have different roles too, right? So like, I get the fact that you know, like, you treat kids differently. Mm-hmm. And when they're kids, I feel like it might be a different story, but you don't really have, I don't know. I probably it's going to come out a bit.
No, it's okay. Just say it. It's okay.
Yeah,
you won't offend me.
Yeah, no.
I'll be like, that's interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah. But I just really think, like, you can't have guys who are soft too, right? Like, too soft, because like they have a role to like take care of. Like, I bet like Murray probably has a role to, like, you know, like take care of like his wife, take care of like his kids. He can't be too soft. Like, he has to be a bit rough now.
I think there's a balance though, because I think also now women have to be tougher.
Why
right?
do you say that?
Well, just because of, the corporate workplace and just all of the demands on us. We've got to be tougher to say this is the hill I will or will not die on. And I think that there needs to be a better balance. I think that these roles have been too structured before, and let's all just be humans and let's just all be people and worry a little bit less about maybe what society has previously said the norm should be. Like, one of the big things I felt parenting our kids when they were little is toys shouldn't have a gender. If you're a boy and you want to play with a doll, great, because dads need to learn how to raise children and parent babies too. So that's awesome. So why are we so stuck on labels? I'm not big on labels, right? Like, let's all just coexist. But that's interesting. Maybe we'll come back to that a little bit more. Tell me more.
Yeah, I feel like that's...
I don't know. Yeah. Like, I feel like what's too soft? Like, what's too soft, right? Like, a guy who's in touch with his feelings, like, what woman doesn't want that?
I get
Guys,
that.
I'll tell you, what women want is for you to be able to verbalize how you're feeling. And but ask her, how are you feeling?
Right, but I don't think a woman wants a guy who's too vulnerable either. Like, who's
I
always
think
too
that's
sappy.
Fair, for sure. I think that's fair. I think it's like middle
like
of
when
the
you say
road
like
thing.
okay, I mean, me personally, this is just me again.
Yeah, no, it's
like I know for a fact that if I'm with a girl and if I'm always like like
crying,
yeah, like, either that or just complaining all the time or just being like too soft, too emotional. They want somebody who they can lean on to as well. Like, I feel like I get like you don't like the labels, but I feel like there's some roles that should, I think they have their place, that you want a man who you can lean on to sometimes. Because there are like women and men are different. Like, women are
yes,
more
I will
emotional.
say, as much as I don't like labels, sometimes I do say to Murray, sometimes that's a blue job. You need to go do that. That's a blue job.
Yeah, right.
I'm not cleaning the gutters.
I feel like the biggest problem is that I get what you're saying, but guys don't acknowledge their emotions. How you react is up to you. You can cry or you can't cry, right? But you have to acknowledge how you're feeling. I think that's the biggest thing. Because we don't journal anymore, right? We don't know how we're feeling.
Right.
And especially like guys aren't taught to acknowledge their emotions, right? If you're feeling angry, talk to yourself, I'm feeling angry, but it's up to you. How do you want to express that? So you don't have to cry all the time, but you have to acknowledge the fact that you feel like crying.
Right.
I will say I'm not a big crier, right? And that's
me personally.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, I think,
that's...
I don't know. I'm more verbal, I guess.
And it has nothing to do with like it shows weakness in any way? Or do you think that's an underlying factor?
I think sometimes I wish I could cry more, because I think it's a great emotional release too, right? When you can cry. So I think I wish I could. I think sometimes I just, I don't give myself permission. I think being that emotional is really vulnerable, right? That's so right. Maybe I should cry more. I don't know.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. How's raising 2 boys for you?
I love it. I wanted boys. I did. I was so happy once I got a second one too. Because once I had the first one, I was like, yes. And when Easton was born, I didn't even have a girl's name. I was like, oh, I want this to be a boy. I wanted 2 boys. I wanted them to have each other as brothers. But they're so different, right? Yeah. They're so different, which is very interesting. But it's really interesting. Yeah, molding men. That's what I think I'm trying to do, is mold men. Mm-hmm.
How are they different? In what sense?
Well, just their interests, their passion. I've got an athlete. Well, I've got 2 athletes, but one is what I would call a very traditional athlete. So he's a hockey player. He's a goalie. And Easton is also an athlete, but he's a dancer. So he approaches life from an artistic lens. So they're just very, very different in that. But it's really fun and it's really neat to watch them grow into the humans that I hope they're going to be, right?
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And how many siblings do you have?
I just have one. I have one sister.
Okay.
Yeah, she lives in Winnipeg.
So you were raised as 2 sisters and now raising 2 boys.
Yes, there's a bit of an age gap between her and I. We're 8 years apart. And the boys that I have are only 3 years apart, so they're a little bit closer. So for her, she always felt like she had 3 parents, right? Because I was always the older sister.
Okay. Oh, so you have a younger sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's younger.
Cool. And how's the parenting approach like different? Because you were raised as 2 girls, now raising 2 boys. So like, how does it differ?
Well, again, with the lens of I'm raising somebody's future spouse, I think I'm pretty tough on my kids. Like, I think we've created a really, loving, safe place for them to grow up. But I think I've got very high expectations for them, just like I have my team at work, right? And I think when you treat people, and you ask them to rise to the occasion, they usually do. When you show them that you think that they can do it, then they do. So I have pretty high expectations of my kids, and they usually rise to the occasion.
That's awesome.
They're not perfect.
Yeah, nobody is.
But I think I'm also, my dad is a bit of a disciplinarian, I would say. He's the second of 12 and came from a very strict German background upbringing. So he was very strict. So I guess I have a little bit of that. But I do feel that if you're very quick, I was telling Nikhil this once, if you're very quick to correct behavior, like if you do it right away, as soon as you see it, and the consequences are significant and serious right away, you're much more likely, I think, from a coaching capacity too, going to correct that behavior. So you've got to do it right away. You can't correct the behavior once it's been bothering you for 6 months. As soon as you see that something's not right, you've got to do it right away. Again, hard conversations. It's hard to be firm. It's hard to have the energy to parent. It's hard to be firm enough to create discipline and create structure for kids. Technology is a huge challenge within that, right? And it's been that way since our kids were little. They've always had access to iPads, right? So it's very hard. It takes a lot of energy to do that. So we don't always get it right. But I think that's what I always tried to do, was be like on it quickly. And then they just learn very quickly what is allowed and what isn't.
I really agree with that. And you've met the manager of our gym. And yeah, exactly. And him and I were having a conversation the other day as well. He says if you ever, from a manager standpoint, from a leader standpoint, ever have that gut feeling where you think that, okay, this person isn't the best fit or is going to cause problems down the line, it's better, like you mentioned too, like I feel like you have a very similar approach to him, that eradicate that quicker, because again, that moldy strawberry theory. Hire slow, fire fast. Yeah, exactly, because you may think it's not like nothing's going to happen, but lo and behold, after a couple days, the entire batch is gone. Right. And the last thing you want is we came back to this too, the culture that you have, that getting tainted. Because if one person's talking, then the other person starts complaining. It just starts creating that negativity, starts bleeding into the entire culture. Absolutely. And then what do? You got to blow it up. I feel like it's either it's exhausting and expensive. Yeah. Too much. You can't do that with your kids. You're kind of stuck with them. Too much manpower. Yeah. Right. So you mentioned about mentorship too, right? And I feel like I want to ask you first, how is leadership different than mentorship? And what creates an ideal mentor in your eyes? Oh, wow. Those are very good questions. Oh, my gosh. This feels like an exam now. Oh, that feels really hard. Leadership and mentorship, how are they different? Okay, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of similarities and crossovers actually between the two. Maybe a mentorship, you're a little bit less casual, a little more casual maybe in terms of, hey, I'm just here when you need me, partner, how can I help? Whereas a leader, I think you're a little bit more demanding. You're like, no, these are my expectations. This is what I need from you. Is it more authoritarian? I wouldn't even say that, but more, this isn't a word, but expectational. A leader, hold people to account, get them to raise themselves up, right? Show them that they can, empower them to understand that they can, give them an environment where they feel safe to take a chance to raise themselves up. Whereas I think a mentorship, it's maybe a little bit more like a sisterhood or brotherhood, like you're journeying beside them maybe. I'm here to help. I see that mentorship as like a big sister kind of role versus a leadership, right. Like I'm the mom or the dad. It's like that organization, Big Sisters and Big Brothers, or I'm getting the names wrong. Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Oh, yes. Okay. Right. Perfect. Yeah. So also giving somebody, maybe a leg up or a helping hand or just being with them on their journey. Right.
So let's come to the golden question.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so
We haven't had it yet. Okay.
what is your why in life? Why do you do what you do? Because you do a lot of stuff. Like you're a great parent, you're a great leader, you're a business owner, you do all these things. What gets you going? What's your why?
I think there's a lot of answers to that question. I think, to be a good daughter, I want to help support my parents. To be a good mom, I want to model all of those great leadership things and behaviors as much as is humanly possible for your kids. Kids are still hard and they challenge you and you'll lose your mind more than you'd like to admit. I think when you build a team, when you have a team, then they just need you to, right? You've got to be there. You've got to show up every day. So I think it's actually really not that much to do with me. I don't know if I'm answering that well. I think it's also a little bit of a pay it back or pay it forward maybe. I just feel the opportunities that I've been given or the luck maybe or the successes or the investment that people have made in me, I need to pay that back. I need to pay that forward. I need to do something with that.
So it's like you owe it to those things.
Yeah, in the nicest way possible, like not in a feeling of like you owe it, but it's it's like you want to make them proud of you. So I don't want to say pride is the right answer. Like that sounds really not humble and prideful, but I think it's just really important to show up for people. That's probably it.
So you want to serve others?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably think of 10 things after I leave here today and be like, oh, I should have said this. I should have said that. Don't you hate that about conversations?
We'll get Nikhil to do a quick short, we do short interviews.
I would like to amend my statement, please, Your Honor.
Yeah, we'll get Nikhil to ask your why after a week or a month.
I did ask for the questions in advance because I'm a bit of a control freak, but he would not give them to me. So
because I don't know the questions either.
Just FYI, I get it.
Hey, trust me, these are all out of a whim.
You know what we should do?
You guys are very good question askers.
We should do another episode and we should have like wine on the table.
Oh, that would have helped.
Right,
yes.
Because it's social. You can do whatever you want.
This is a beautiful
and
space.
Then Jocelyne, you make room at your house.
There is a wine bar here. Yes.
And then you make room at your house because I'm going to get kicked out if she finds out. He's just lucky his parents aren't here, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
That's funny. Jocelyne, so to close off the podcast, now we'll get into the rapid fire segment.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Nikhil's going to ask you 3 questions and he will start.
Okay. Do my answers have to be like...
It's up to you. One word, one
it's
sentence.
1 word, 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, 1 hour.
Okay.
Okay. What's your favorite restaurant in China?
Oh, that's so hard. I have so many.
What are you in mood for something right now?
I would like anything that I don't have to cook. So I'm happy when anybody cooks for me or anything I don't have to make myself. Cooking is a chore at this point in my life. Maybe not always, but right now it's a chore. I love Farm to Table, so I love Crave, I love Avenue. I love Earl's. Earl's has been a part of my life since I was 20. It's like an OG part of my life. I love Earl's.
Right.
I really like food, so I'll go anywhere. I'll eat anything. I love OEB for breakfast on Saturday mornings. Oh, I love that place. The chicken focaccia thing. Oh, it's to die for. I don't like eggs, which is funny that I would go to an egg place because I don't like eggs.
That's funny. So what's one piece of advice you would give to your 20-year-old self?
Maybe be vulnerable sooner. Yep.
If you could make one rule that everybody in this world had to follow, what would that be?
Be humble and kind.
What's something that you didn't value in the past, but now in the present you really
sleep.
Oh, there you go. Already has an answer.
All back to sleep. Yep. It's all back. That's a huge, huge thing. Sleep is everything. Yep.
What are you most grateful for in life right now?
Oh, cry. Oh, I don't know. Let's come back to that because I'm going to cry. And I told you I don't cry, but that makes me cry, that question. There's so much to be grateful for.
If you could have a conversation with anybody, dead or alive, who would that be?
Okay, this weekend I've been very immersed in the new Taylor Swift album because Easton, the 14-year-old, loves her. So I would love to have a conversation with her, actually, because I think she has overcome some very interesting challenges in her life in the public eye. I think she's an amazing poet. She's an amazing writer. And what she has created and done, I think it's phenomenal. Like, I think she's an absolutely phenomenal young woman.
What's a question you would ask her? Just one, if you had to say.
I would ask her what she would tell her 20-year-old self, which was your question, or what she wished she had known sooner.
Nice. You're going to tell us you got that question from us?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, hey, so I was on this podcast.
If she follows that, then we're going to get all the views.
Hashtag Taylor.
There we go. Back to your question.
Gratitude. I'm Jesus, I'm not a crier. Very grateful for my parents, my family. And I've had this wonderful extended family as well. And then I've been really lucky that I've been able to create family wherever I've lived over the years through chosen friends. And that's been a huge support. And I'm also really grateful to our clients. And I know that's, not to make it about work, because it's not, but just, people invest in us just as much as we invest our time in them. And I'm very grateful for that. And people are vulnerable with me.
Do you miss your family in Winnipeg?
I do. Yeah, I do. I'm going next weekend for Thanksgiving, so that'll be nice. COVID was really difficult, and my parents are getting older, so it's hard. I feel like that's, there's some hard stuff coming. So, yeah, I'll probably be spending quite a bit more time there in the next little while. Yeah, but it's good. They're lovely.
Awesome. All right, Jocelyne. So before we sign off,
yes,
do you have any advice for our listeners, viewers out there, just to put a word out?
Well, gosh, that's a tough question too. I don't know, beyond what I've said today. Just know that you can, know that you can be your best self for your family and for your friends and for your work every day. And to be honest, don't wallow. Allow the feeling and then move on. Revisit it later. But there's so much work to do. There's so many people who need us in our communities, in our families, in our workplaces, in our lives. Literally stop making it about you and make it about other people. Right. Because there's such beauty in the outcomes when you, I think, focus on other people.
One thing before we sign off again, the quote that I really love about people complaining or wallowing or just, having that victim mindset is that the victim mindset will have you dancing with the devil, but then complaining you're in hell.
Right. That's a great quote to end. It really, truly, right? Live in the light. I know it's hard. I know that means tough decisions, and it means tough choices, and it means putting things down and putting things away sometimes, but
part of it.
Move to the light, or be the light. Be the light. Again, not to quote Taylor, but I just thought it was very funny because we were talking about this upstairs with your mom and your cousin and your auntie. There's a thing in one of her new songs, and I feel okay, I think this is how I've always tried to live my life, is to be your own sunshine. You don't wait for others to create the perfect environment for you. Go and create it. Go do it yourself. If you're not happy with something in your community, go change it. If you don't like something at work, change jobs, fix it, show up differently, ask for a mentor, ask for coaching. You are in control of your situation, even when you think you're not. You have the control to stay and you have the control to go. And you only have so much time. So hurry up. Right. Don't waste. Don't wallow. Just move forward.
Right. It just reminds me of a quote that I literally read 2 days ago. It said that you're not a passive observer of your life. You're the narrator. Absolutely.
So there's this other young girl that I know, and she's in just, not happy with some things that have happened, and she feels like she's out of control. And I said to her 2 days ago, I'm like, you're actually not. You can stay in this job, you can leave this job, but you're in control of that decision. Or you can be okay with the decision to just be okay with this right now. I said, you're still in control, but you have to make a decision. And that's the worst thing people do, is the wallowing in the whole, I don't know what to do, so I don't make any decision. That's not healthy. Just make a decision, live with it. Nothing can't be fixed.
No, I think that's the perfect way to end the podcast. And for our viewers and listeners, pick up the pen and start writing for your life. Thank you, Jocelyne, for being on A Little Perspective. Really grateful for this episode.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Take care.
It was fun.
Yeah.